Hello, everyone. Today's topic is our limiting beliefs about money. The foundation of the rich life vision actually comes from financial intelligence. In order to uncover financial intelligence, we first need to engage in a battle against our lack of financial intelligence. The most fundamental of these are the negative beliefs we hold about money. Money beliefs are, by definition, a person's attitudes and behaviors related to money, wealth, and finance. In all matters outside of money, regardless of being rich or poor, everyone feels similar emotions and reactions. However, when it comes to money, the way the rich and the poor explain money with spiritual feelings is different. Their perspectives on this matter are completely distinct. For example, money leads people to evil. Now, let's interpret this statement from two different perspectives. Most people, whom we refer to as those who are not rich, see this when they look at this sentence. If a person chases money, bad things will inevitably happen to them. Or if they possess money, they will surely make wrong decisions, resulting in negative outcomes. What we can understand from this is that the mindset of the poor tells us that the desire to have more money, to be rich, or to improve one's financial situation is actually wrong and leads to negative outcomes. On the other hand, if we interpret this from a rich perspective, yes, money can lead a person to evil, because if you are financially ignorant, lack sufficient technical knowledge, and are striving to become rich, what you will embody is ambition. And ambition can lead you to do bad things. Money is not the root of all evil. Rather, financial ignorance is the root of all evil. In other words, the rich do not believe that money is the root of evil. According to them, the real problem is that humanity works like a slave for money and becomes a slave to the personal debt it has created. One of the fundamental things that limit our financial thoughts and our perspective on money is the negative examples we experience or witness around us. Negative economic events have certainly occurred to us or to those very close to us. He has experienced crisis periods. He had to sell his house. He has gone through days filled with debt, hardship, and struggle. Perhaps he has faced significant bankruptcies. Or they entered the stock market and went bankrupt. In other words, they tried to do something and worked hard for certain goals, but it ended in great sadness. In general, when things do not go as we want, we also change, my friends. Above all, who we are changes. We become more aggressive, we turn more inward, we darken, and we become pessimistic. This period has its own stages. First of all, when we go bankrupt, we do not want to accept it. We struggle seriously until we finally raise the bankruptcy flag. Afterwards, we experience great disappointments. We question our self-confidence. We blame ourselves repeatedly, say, "I wish I hadn't done that," and vow to never do it again. If someone stands in front of you and says, "I should have known I wouldn't succeed," know that the harm done to them has lasted for a very long time. Even if we experience this negative atmosphere ourselves, it deeply affects us. If those around us are also experiencing it, from now on, every financial decision we make will be colored by this story, or someone around us will constantly remind us of it, creating a persistent fear of money within us. So is this the right approach? The correct attitude would be to think that I should have known I would fail after making mistakes. Do you think a rich mindset views it this way? Do you think that people who have achieved financial success have never experienced bankruptcy in their lives? If you look at successful examples around the world today, you will find that they all have stories of going bankrupt and bouncing back dozens of times. Just as there are huge waves in the ocean, the markets are the same. If you want to create your own rich life, you must step out of your own pond or pool. The time will come when even the sea will not cleanse you. So, where will you go then? Where will you swim? It will be the ocean. But aren't there giant waves in the ocean? Just like the giant waves in the same ocean, there are also giant waves in the money markets. There are ups and downs. This economic system is a normal process of the money-making system. What directs the waves of the ocean? The wind and the sun. So, what directs your waves? Your emotions, ambitions, and fears. No matter how financially successful we are, I never believe that crises will pass. Because we are human, ambition and fear are a standard part of us. The crises we experience when our ambitions and fears come together and ultimately result in disappointment are a normal part of our lives. When ambition and fear come together, the next emotion a person experiences after suffering a significant financial loss is a crisis. There are two fundamental emotions associated with a crisis: anger and sadness. During this process, a person feels anger directed at themselves and is overwhelmed by sadness. Economic crises are a type of emotional crisis. People become depressed when they lose. So, what will we do? How will we overcome this situation? I can say this. First and foremost, we need to free ourselves from limiting beliefs about money. Crisis is for us, bankruptcy is for us, and recovery is for us. We need to free ourselves from the idea of associating this with emotional and spiritual values as soon as possible. Earning money rationally is a business. This has nothing to do with your spirituality. As difficult as it may be to say, at the core of a rich mindset is the ability to separate emotions from business. Earning more money does not make you a better, stronger, more successful, or more talented person, just as going bankrupt or losing money does not make you less valuable, less important, or a failure. The road to wealth is paved with mountains and stones. Sometimes, while climbing that mountain, you find yourself sweating, stones digging into your feet, you fall, and it hurts. But you do not give up on climbing that mountain. Eventually, you will have the opportunity to observe your future rich life from the summit of the mountain. This time, you find yourself descending from the mountain. You come down with great joy, running, out of breath, shouting loudly. But there comes a time when you fall head over heels. You find yourself in pits. You try to climb out of those pits. Then one day, you find a way for yourself. You emerge from the holes you fell into. Then a new mountain appears before you. You will climb again. You will put in effort once more amidst blood, sweat, and tears. When you reach the top of the second mountain, this time you will be closer to your rich life. You see those forests and streams you have dreamed of right before your eyes. That wealth is flowing towards you. You experience great excitement again and start running with the same motivation. Similar things happen along the way. Sometimes you fall, sometimes you get stuck, and sometimes everything goes smoothly. You may find that you have navigated the time to the next threshold without any damage. This process is a journey. It is the journey that leads you to a rich life. In this process, I am not talking about any spiritual value. This is just your business, not your spiritual value or who you are. But if you do this, if you prepare yourself for the journey, if you have your first aid kit with you in case of a fall, or if you wear your shoes accordingly, and if you adjust your running style or technique anticipating that there will be descents when you reach a peak, if you become a bit more knowledgeable about this and can take precautions, you can navigate this process with fewer injuries. For this reason, we repeatedly tell you that you need to correct your financial knowledge, financial literacy, and financial beliefs. We do not want you to blindly climb that more forced path. We want you to engage in conversation, keep your eyes open, and move forward confidently towards your rich life with your feet firmly on the ground. Out of fear of falling again, out of fear of being disappointed again, out of fear of regretting again, out of fear of losing many things in my life again. The moment you think of disappointments, falls, and crises that I never anticipated, as part of my work and life journey, change begins. This means that when you are ready for this, you have entered the process of transformation. This is the most challenging, yet the easiest way to do this. What have we actually done right now? Let me put this in a more financial and technical language. Those who have watched my previous active asset videos will know. To put this in more financial terms, what have we done by transforming ourselves? We have turned our disappointments from a passive liability that harms us into an active asset that earns us money. What do we now gain from our disappointments? We draw lessons. What do we take away from our disappointments now? We conclude that we should not give up. What do we know? With every problem, an opportunity arises. And beneath every problem lies a certain degree of great wisdom. However, what was happening when our disappointments were our passive existence? What were we doing with questioning sentences like, "I will never do this again," or "Why did I do this?" We were halting our own development. The disappointments that once stood before us as walls are now active assets. becoming new shoes that lift us up beneath our feet. So what do we need to do? 1. Expect to be disappointed. Only foolish people expect things to happen exactly as they wish. Being disappointed does not mean accepting defeat. Expecting to be disappointed does not equate to accepting defeat from the outset. This requires being prepared in advance for any problems or disappointments that may arise due to the uncertainties underlying financial markets or money. It prepares you for what could happen. What do you do in this process? You become more composed. You may act more cool-headed, and you can take your steps in a more rational way, because only in this way can you think healthily. Many people with great ideas come to me, but their ideas last at most for a month. When they first share them, they speak with excitement, but a month later, they wander around in disappointment. However, their ideas are truly beautiful. When I ask, they say that the old excitement has faded, and it was a good idea, but it didn't work. In fact, it wasn't the idea that didn't work here. They were just, expecting something. As they said, the job they wanted didn't go as planned, and they were disappointed. However, the outcomes of any transaction are not predetermined. It requires a bit of perseverance, a bit of patience, and proper planning. You will experience disappointment many times during this process. You may have to go back to the beginning several times. But no matter what happens, when you don't give up and put your plans into action, you have backup plans in place to get the necessary support when you face difficulties. No matter how disappointed you may feel or how many times you fall, you will be able to find a way to get back on your feet. Smart people know that achieving financial success and accomplishing what they want in a rich life takes time. During this process, they anticipate that they will fall and rise dozens of times and that they will experience disappointment. They think that when the journey is over, and they reach what they desire, everything they have experienced will be more than worth it for them. Therefore, my advice is to view experiencing a scarcity of imagination during such processes as a very normal part of your journey. So what can you do? Be honest with yourself during this process. Confront your mistakes honestly. Stand honestly where you need to stop. Don't worry too much about what others think of you, because you will never receive the necessary support from your surroundings. But at the same time, be kind to yourself. Don't engage in actions that excessively blame yourself for your mistakes. I say, do not undermine your own self-confidence and courage, because individuals who treat themselves poorly mentally and emotionally will ultimately stifle their creative thoughts, decrease their willingness to take risks, and thus hinder their rich life with their own thoughts and feelings. You have set out on a ready path. Consider both falling and getting up. Equip yourself with your own knowledge in finance and embark on the journey with great joy. Let life lead you to that financial reward, but enjoy the pleasure of your day and moment without waiting for the reward. Enjoy your fall. Enjoy your rise. You are much luckier than many people because you are on that path, because you have that path. Knowing this, lay your head on the pillow. Knowing this, continue on your path without stopping. Rest assured, the day will come when all your dreams will come true.